All right, so welcome to our video on just getting the measurements for the combined loading experiment. And the measurements that we're going to look at are from the fixed end of the tube to the welded on bracket, from the welded on bracket back to that point where all the gauges come together in that concurrent point, since there's the three of them and their lines of action, fixed end to the free end, the total length of the shaft basically. Also with the piston, we want to look at the distance from the outside face of the piston to the outside face of the tube. And then also the piston has a ring. And so what's the thickness of that wall ring? Because the ring is what's in contact with the bracket. All right, so again, here's our setup. We're going to jump now right to measuring the distance from the welded on bracket back to the wall. And so again, we're here, you can see touching the wall, and as we come back out, we'll pause here. You need to decide, do you want the front side, the back side, or the center line of that bracket? And always feel free to pause the video. Now, from the bracket, we want to measure, and here you can really get the thickness of the bracket, back to the gauge, and we put this square right over top of the point where all of the gauges come together. And so that's the distance from the concurrent point back to the bracket. And now just the simple full length of the shaft. And so you can see we're up against the back where it's welded onto the plate. And then we have a couple measurements. You can see the arrow. You can also see the welded on plate there. And then finally our piston measurements. And so we're going to put a ruler on the bottom of the piston there, so flush to the outside face, and then set the ruler perpendicular on top of that goes from the outside of the tube to the outside measurement of that face, so you can use that ruler as a reference. Then look at how it's set up. We do have the thickness of that piston ring, and so we can run some lines up on the ruler here, and you can estimate the thickness of that ring if you want to do a center line type measurement. So those are our different combined loading experimental measurements, plus we know there was information on the original video that might be useful to you as well that you were instructed to capture. So make sure you have a nice clean sketch, and you can now think about the behavior of this tube under this loading where the load is applied away from the centroid of the shape. Thanks for watching.